Welcome to the American Outcast Show. I am your host, the official Outcast, and I don't want to waste any of your time. Let's just get right into it. I ran across a beautiful story on the White House page. So turns out there's a woman by the name of Casina Carolina who was detained in Russia for over a year. Detained in Russia for over a year. Trump has finally brought her home. And that's like good news. That's like wonderful news. But I don't want to do anything on here. I'm sorry, I just hit my mic. I don't want to do anything on here that you're taking my word for it. I want you to watch this clip.
Last night, Casina Carolina arrived back safely in the United States after being detained in Russia for more than a year. Since Inauguration Day, President Trump and his team have secured the release of more than 40 detained Americans abroad. This is more than half of the number of Americans released by Joe Biden in 4 years, and President Trump has brought these Americans home in 80 days. This administration will continue to work hard to bring Americans home from around the world.
What a warm story. It warms my heart up to to hear things like that. That Trump is actually doing something good. I had this picture up because that is a beautiful picture. Now I'm not sure who these people are around her, but I'm sure that they care for her well-being, and I'm sure that it was a tough year in the Russian prison. But what I wanted to the point I want to make is don't ever trust anything Carolyn Levitt says. If you look in her eyes say, "Look, don't don't trust me." You know what I mean? Not only just by her eyes, she lies constantly, um, and more importantly, she supports Trump. Trump's a liar. Trump is a lot of other things, but this is not about that right now. This is about the good that Trump has done for Casina Carolina. Welcome home, Casina Carolina. A couple other things I want to touch on is they said, or she said, Trump has brought home about 40 detainees, and that is in about 80 days. In about 80 days, they brought home about 40 detainees from around the globe, right? What are people doing to get detained anyway? The world is so crazy. Why we want to be doing anything you're not supposed to be doing in someone else's country? You know what I mean? People are always wanting to want to prove a point about how America's not this and America's not that. And so if they can catch one of our citizens, you know, you know what I'm trying to say. Um, 40 detainees, more than half of what Biden has done. No matter what this administration does, right? Um, they got to bring up something about Biden. They got to bring up something about Hillary Clinton. You got to make Nancy Pelosi. This is the most shit talking administration that I've this is like some movie. You can write a movie script from this. Then that's just my opinion. But I want to make a point. This is me. If you're gonna tune in, if you're gonna subscribe, I advise you subscribe because the points that I make drive the nail home. Okay, so Casina Carolina was brought home. Congratulations to the Trump administration. That is outstanding. But what about the other U.S. citizens? The citizens you are revoking their TPS status. Why is that so important? Um, the Venezuelans, come on, we're doing too much. Student visas are being revoked. Why is that so important, right? And I'll tell you why. Or right now. Let's just assume why. And this whole being in a gang, and I understand that some tattoos are telling. So they get them on their face, whether it's MS-13 or whatever the gang is, because it's a sense of pride in their unit. You know what I mean? There's a sense of pride, and that's what they do. And if they in America they're killing people, I believe that they should go. This is my views. I believe that they should go. But this is the country of due process. This is a country we got courts everywhere. You can go to the smallest town, you can get a ticket on a highway going to another town, and you have to go to this town, this small courthouse, but it's a courthouse. You know what I mean? There's some kind of justice there. You were speeding, the highway patrolman gave you a ticket, right? You got to go to the courthouse and pay the ticket. This country is about justice. It's about doing, doing most. If you were caught doing something, you're gonna have to pay for it. That is just reality. So I want to bring to light, and I'm sure everyone knows about all of the gangbangers that was swept up. 250, I believe. Well, let's just say for certain 249, because one of them definitely not a part of this terrorist organization. What is deemed a terrorist organization by Trump. Um, There's a lot of things I can say about that, but I want to say his name because we got to get this guy home, right? Kilmar Obrego Garcia, the U.S. Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, said bring this guy home. But the White House is still trying to find how can they weasel their way out of that. How can we not do it? Yeah, we know. Well, I don't. You never even heard of nobody not doing what the Supreme Court says to do, right? But let's watch this clip.
News at this hour. The Supreme Court has unanimously ruled against the Trump administration in a case regarding a Maryland man that the administration wrongfully arrested and deported to an El Salvador mega prison last month. His name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We had his lawyer on the program just this week. Just over a week ago, the White House admitted in court that Garcia's deportation was a result of an administrative error. Because, you see, back in 2019, Donald Trump was president during that time, you might imagine, he got protected immigration status, which meant he had an active order that he could not be removed or deported. And yet, he was rounded up by the Trump administration anyway, and after they admitted to it in court, they refused to do anything about it. Basically, their stance was, whoopsie, we made an oopsie, he's in an El Salvador supermax, you'll never hear from him again.
What is going on here? What are we doing? If Trump's administration, Trump's regime says, hey, this was an error taking him out of the country, right? Trump said this was an error. His lawyers say it was an error, and the courts confirm, okay, since you guys, the administration, the guys who grabbed him up and took him out of this country is saying this is an error. Why is it so hard to get him back? Why are we not? Why he's not already back? This has been going on for weeks. When they said that this was an error, one of the guys is not. In fact, he's the total opposite. Like the MS-13 wants him dead because he didn't want to become a member of their organization. He refused to let his family's business. Do you hear what I'm saying? He told the MS-13 members, no, you can't have a piece of my parents' business. So he had to flee. He had to flee Venezuela and come here to the United States, where a judge granted him a clemency, whatever it is, judges grant. You know what I mean? He has it in his wallet so he can pull it out and say, "Hey, the judge said, I'm here. I'm a U.S. citizen, and and I can't be removed, especially not removed back to the very country where these guys want to kill me." So that's just one story. You even have people protesting, young people. I'm not gonna say kids, but college students protesting. They're getting snatched up. You say anything, in favor of people not being murdered in the streets of Palestine, you're getting snatched up. If you have a school visa, probably even work. But if you got any kind of visa, that's just snatching you up. Like, how dare you? Speak against the way we feel, right? How dare you speak against Trump's administration? How dare you, have a thought that was not fostered by the state, right? This is what's being said. This is the way that the country is going. And I said long ago not long ago, like before Trump was sworn into office, and even and if you pay attention, and I'm not even going to play that clip. I'll put Trump on my page as less as least possible. He didn't put his hand on the Bible. So that was the first sign. Trump not putting his hand on the Bible was the first sign, was the first warning that he was going to be on some bullshit. So we can bring Christina Carolina back to the United States after she was detained in Russia for over a year for doing God knows what. Um, like the one basketball player, we know that she was detained because she had marijuana on her. Something was done. You know, what I mean, I don't see Russian authorities just snatching Americans up. Oh, you're an American. Let me just put these cuffs on you. Right? I don't think that's how it works. But that's neither here nor there. Christina Carolina is back home in the U.S. and she was detained for over a year. Kilmar Abrego Garcia did nothing, and now he's in a supermax in a cell with looks like maybe 50 people in one small cell. The beds are just stacked up. The beds are just stacked up. He's in there with the very people that want him dead. And it feels like it's just a matter of time before they, complete their mission. Like, what are we doing here, Americans? What are we doing? And why is it okay? Why isn't more people speaking up about this? Why are we, it seemed like we need to mobilize over something like this. This is just the first case of some bullshit happening, and Trump's administration can care less if they're right or if they're wrong. It can care less because Kilmar should have been home before Christina Carolina. In any scenario, he should have been home, but he's not home. He's probably as close as you can get to hell, while you're still alive. He's there, and for nothing. That's the point. And the administration has said, yes, we made a mistake. We detained him wrongfully, right? Now I can pop up receipts, but I know that you know about this. And if you watch Fox News, you know it from another perspective. And I don't feel like showing anything from Fox News today because it's more important to point out, to highlight this injustice. Why isn't that man back home with his family? He said he has a baby. Why can't he participate in his child growing up? Why is he missing this moment in his child's life? It was a mistake. Administrative error is what they're calling it, right? Administrative error. Fix it. And you can fix anything, especially if Trump's administration wants to be a regime like it is. Everything is as Trump wants. So if Kilmar or Brego Garcia is not home in the U.S., especially after the admission that this was an error, that means Trump doesn't want him back home. And if Trump doesn't want him back home, it's not, there's a billion reasons what it's not. But it has to do with everything with the color of his skin, right? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm not. If you feel that way, you're not wrong. And this is just a precursor to what's happening or what's going to happen once Trump's administration becomes comfortable with just snatching people up off the street. Like they did and I'm sorry for not having her name, the college student who wrote some material on, let's say, let me just paraphrase it, Hamas is bad. That has nothing to do with the Palestinian civilians who are dying over there. That's just a paraphrase. You know what I mean? You can say whatever you want about Hamas because it is a terrorist organization. They proud to be a terrorist organization, and I know that is hard when an organization is hiding within its people. It's a tough situation. But when you're here in America and you have freedom of speech, right? It's something that, you don't have to go to the store and you don't have to purchase that. You don't have to purchase that. Freedom of speech is given. And it looks like that's being contested now. Free speech is under fire, right? Just like us before Trump came into office for the second time. He wasn't on his bullshit in his first sentence, but the second time due to Project 2025 and whatever the fuck else they're talking to him about behind closed doors. There's a war in America, and it's going on right now. Freedom of speech it's about to be gone. Our citizenship, whether you're born in here or born and raised here, excuse me, it's just he doesn't want that to matter. And Trump, you have a foreign wife, right? And JD Vance. Have anybody seen JD Vance's wife? Uh, what is her name? This is what I'm saying. Our leaders are being hypocrites. They're under the impression that they get to decide who's U.S. citizens and who's not. This attack on Venezuelan or Mexicans or the Latin, just say the Latin community is uncalled for, and it's complete bullshit. And it's not complete bullshit because I say so. It's just unjust. At least in the United States, you commit a crime, there's a chance I'm gonna get caught. There's a chance I probably won't. That's just, I guess, the life of a criminal. But if you've done nothing at all, they said a man was in like a Lowe's parking lot or a Home Depot parking lot or whatever looking for work. You've seen those guys. They come, pay them, whatever you're gonna pay them for doing their job. Whether it's, helping, take stuff out of your house, or a lot of them are electricians, a lot of them are plumbers, a lot of them can get it done. That's not breaking the law, right? It's not. But my man, Kilmar Obrego Garcia, is not with his family. He's not with his baby because he doesn't fit the Trump's. He doesn't fit Trump's idea or his administration's idea of what an American is. You can seek asylum. It doesn't matter. You can be here on a student visa. It doesn't matter. You can be here on a work visa. It doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are under attack. And that attack is coming from within. That attack is coming from the top, right? They're on the top and they're shooting down. They're saying what laws matter and what laws don't. Instead of laws just existing to govern us. Trump think he has the power to tell us, oh, that law, whatever. Oh, I like that law. Let me activate this war act from 19 whatever, right? America is becoming lawless. We are becoming isolated. We are by ourselves. The dollar is crumbling. So much is going on negatively for the United States of America, and this is due to Trump. Biden handed him, I'm not going to say a perfect country. I don't even think a perfect country exists, right? Biden handed him, all he had to do was nothing. All Trump had to do is golf. Just continue to golf, not fuck up the country, then go golf. Like that is, it's weird to me. Why you want to mess up the country, then go golf? But I want to wrap this up. We're doing the best we can to say things have got to get better. They must get better. And I want to end on that note.